On the night of September 26, 1983, deep inside a secret bunker just outside Moscow, one man stared at a screen that held the fate of the world. His name was Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov. His job was to monitor the Soviet Union's brand new early warning satellite system, designed to detect a nuclear attack from the United States. For hours, the shift had been quiet, almost boring. But just after midnight, the silence was shattered by a blaring alarm and a single, terrifying word flashing in red: launch. The system was screaming that a nuclear missile was heading straight for the Soviet Union, then another alert, and another. Soon, the screen showed 5 missiles arcing across the sky on a direct path to his homeland. The protocol was brutally simple. Petrov had to pick up the phone and report the attack to his superiors. From there, the chain of command was designed for speed. Within minutes, Soviet leaders would almost certainly order a full-scale retaliatory strike. The end of the world as we knew it would begin with his phone call. The pressure in that room must have been unimaginable. Every alarm, every flashing light was designed to force an immediate reaction. The entire Soviet nuclear doctrine was built on the idea of launching a counterattack before the first enemy missile could land. Hesitation was not an option. But as Petrov looked at the data, a seed of doubt began to grow. Something felt wrong. 5 missiles? A real first strike, he reasoned, wouldn't be so small. If the United States was going to start a nuclear war, they would launch hundreds, even thousands of missiles to overwhelm Soviet defenses. An all-out, decapitating blow. This looked more like a probe, a test. But who would test a nuclear early warning system with actual launches? His subordinates were panicking, staring at him, waiting for the order to report the attack. Every second that ticked by was a second closer to potential annihilation. If he was wrong, if those missiles were real, his delay could cripple the Soviet Union's ability to fight back. He would be responsible for the deaths of millions of his countrymen. The weight of that decision rested entirely on his shoulders. The system, a marvel of Soviet technology, was telling him with 100% certainty that the attack was real. The sirens were deafening. His training screamed at him to follow the rules, but his gut screamed louder. He looked at the satellite data again. The signals were coming from a single location, all bunched together. It was strange. He considered the possibility of a system malfunction. This satellite network was new, and like all new technology, it could have bugs. Trust the machine or trust his human intuition. He had to make a choice, and he had to make it now. In a move that defied all his training and every protocol, Petrov made his decision. He picked up the phone, not to report an attack, but to report a system malfunction. He told his superiors that the early warning system was sending false alarms. He hung up the phone, and then he waited. The next few minutes must have felt like an eternity. He stared at the maps, waiting for the telltale signs of nuclear detonations that would prove his judgment fatally wrong. The room was tense, silent except for the hum of the computers, but the explosions never came. The missiles never arrived. The world continued to turn, completely unaware of how close it had just come to the brink of extinction. Later investigations revealed the cause of the false alarm. Sunlight, in a rare atmospheric alignment, had reflected off high-altitude clouds. And the Soviet satellites had mistaken this glint of light for the engine flare of Minuteman missiles. Stanislav Petrov's hunch was correct. The machine had been wrong. His decision wasn't celebrated. In fact, he was reprimanded for not following protocol and for failing to properly document the event in his logbook. His career in the military stalled, and he was soon retired. For years, the story remained a state secret. It wasn't until decades later that the world learned of the quiet, unassuming man who on a single night held civilization in his hands and chose not to clench his fist. This story isn't just a relic of the Cold War. It's a powerful reminder that in our increasingly automated world, the most important component is still the human element. It's about the courage to question the data, to trust your intuition, and to understand the profound responsibility that comes with power. Stanislav Petrov wasn't a hero in the traditional sense. He was just a man doing his job, who, in a moment of ultimate crisis, chose humanity over the machine. And because of that choice, we are all here today. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, consider subscribing for more incredible tales from history.